The instant you ultimately witnessed Cody for who he truly is. Because if you've been following the journey of sister wives from day one, this wasn't just another intense gathering. This was the sentimental breakdown of the very core structure. Cody dedicated years claiming was about affection, togetherness, and belief. But as the lens zoomed out and his voice broke through the stillness, something became deeply evident. He's not the leader anymore. The dream is gone, the grip falling rapidly, and the women once overshadowed and silent aren't backing down, not anymore. What happened in that tell? All wasn't just an unveiling, it was a judgment from the very beginning. Cody Brown sold one story louder than anything else. Togetherness, one big family, one big home, and one big dream, built on belief, teamwork, and affection. That was the pitch. That was the fantasy back in the early seasons. He'd tell the lens. And anyone who would listen, that plural marriage wasn't just about romance, it was about building a community, a safe self, sustaining community where sister wives supported each other and the kids grew up surrounded by affection. And for a while, some of us believed him, but somewhere between the move to Flagstaff and the tell all of season 19, that entire dream shattered, and not in slow motion. This thing crumbled like wet paper in a storm. Flagstaff was supposed to be a new beginning, a calm mountain retreat where they could ultimately come together. Instead, it was the beginning of the end. The waves felt isolated, the kids were pulled apart, and Cody, he started falling apart, accusing everything and everyone, except his own self by the time the tell all aired. He ultimately said it out loud. The dream is over. He admitted that his hope for one unified family had fallen apart. And yet, even in that same breath, he clung to the fantasy like it hadn't been dead for years. Fans watching floored not just by his refusal to accept, but by how deeply out of touch he's become from the reality. Everyone else is living. It's like he's still fighting for a fantasy no one else signed up for anymore. If Cody's dream was already broke, then his behavior during the all smashed whatever was left, from the instant he sat down across from Suki, the vibe was off. You could see it in the way he held his own self. Arms crossed, face-tight eyes, darting around like he was searching for a way out. His responses smug short. Dismissive at times, he just sat there in stillness, letting the unease speak louder than words. And when he did respond, it was often with a smirk or a half chuckle, like he was above it all. Dookie tried, she truly did. Her questions weren't even that aggressive. But the second she brought up tough topics, his relationships with the ex-wives, how things fell apart, Cody shut down, dodged, redirected. It felt like watching a man trying to rewrite his own story in real time, hoping no one remembered how it actually played out. But fans remembered, and they weren't buying the act. What truly stung was when he looked straight into the lens and said, "I'm content. Content, while 3 of your wives are in visible pain while your family is in ruins." That instant landed like a slap to the face. Online fans exploded comment sections filled with people calling him delusional, heartless, out-of-touch audience, who once witnessed him as the glue holding this big, messy family together. Now witnessed someone barely holding his own self, together emotionally walled off and clinging to pride. The man who once stood in the center of this complex family dynamic has slowly morphed into a symbol. What happens when ego replaces empathy, and as audience, it's honestly heartbreaking to watch. He was supposed to be the leader. Instead, he's become a cautionary tale for years. Robyn Brown was painted as the sentimental heart of the sister wives family. She cried the most, spoke in soft tones, always seemed the most vulnerable. She was introduced as the peacemaker, the newcomer who wanted to blend into the sisterhood with grace and humility. And back then, some fans truly did feel for her. She was coming into a complex family dynamic, trying to find her place among women who had already built decades of history. But somewhere along the way, the story changed. Now the sympathy has turned into suspicion in season 19's tell. That shift became impossible to ignore. Robyn's constant sentimental breakdowns felt rehearsed. Her statements were carefully worded, and then came the camping trip incident, the instant that shattered what little trust some audience had left. Christine, Mary, and Janelle recalled a family vacation where everyone was pitching in, making breakfast, hauling gear, while Robyn was off doing her own thing. According to them, she was doing makeup in the trailer while they were struggling in the cold. Robyn, when asked about it, denied remembering anything like that. She claimed she didn't recall the instant at all. But fans did, and they had receipts on social media. An old clip surfaced showed Robyn plain as day applying her makeup. During that very trip, the same trip she claimed she didn't remember. The same instant she said probably never happened. And just like that, the whole sentimental act started to look a little too polished. Longtime audience felt betrayed. It wasn't just the lie. It was the ease with which she told it. That selective memory, that soft-spoken refusal to accept hit a nerve. People who had watched for over a decade felt like they were being gaslit by someone who's still pretending she's clueless. Even when the footage proves otherwise, it's not just about mascara in a camper, it's about trust. And for many fans, that trust is gone. It was one of those blink and you miss it moments. But for anyone paying attention, it said everything, as Robyn scrambled to defend herself during the tell, all trying to downplay the camping trip memories that had just been exposed. Gwen sat off to the side, silent still, but with a faint, unmistakable smirk on her face. Not cruel, not mocking, just knowing like someone who's seen too much to be surprised anymore. That smile didn't need words. It spoke volumes right beside her. Suki tried to keep the tone respectful, but there was steel in her questions. Robyn was fumbling, and Suki didn't let her off the hook easily. She pushed not aggressively, but with a firmness that fans appreciated for once. Someone wasn't accepting vague responses and polished tears. There was no retreat. Hatch Robyn was being held accountable, even if only lightly. Then came the line that turned everything. Cody's voice right after his farewell to the cameras caught on a hot mic. "Cut the cameras, please." That instant wasn't just awkward, it was symbolic for years. Cody commanded the narrative, he directed scenes guided, who spoke and when, and shaped the story from within. But now that quiet whisper felt like the last gasp of a man who realized the spotlight no longer obeys him. Fans heard that line and lost it online. Threads lit up with calls for a new presenter, someone tougher than Suki, who'd push harder, demand clearer responses, and call out deflection in real time. But maybe the bigger shift wasn't the presenter. It was the wives, Mary, Christine, Janelle, Gwen, even Suki. They're not shrinking back anymore. They've seen the game. They've felt the weight. And now they're reclaiming their place in the story. Cody's grip is falling, and they're not scared of him anymore. When the tell-all wrapped, it should have brought closure. But instead, it opened floodgates, online forums, comment sections, podcasts. It was like a collective cry of enough. Audience weren't just disappointed, they were outraged. The same old patterns had played out again. Cody deflecting blame, Robyn playing confused, and the women who carried the sentimental weight for years barely getting space to speak, and fans were over it. You could feel the shift in the broadcast. People weren't watching for drama anymore. They were watching for justice, for honesty, for anyone to stop pretending. Like Cody's version of events was the full picture. One user wrote, "Why do we keep giving Cody a platform to rewrite history? We witnessed what happened." Others echoed that frustration. It wasn't just about disliking a character. It was about feeling like the show itself was protecting him. And that's why fans started rallying for something new. Not a reboot, not more from Cody and Robyn. They wanted a spin-off one focused on Christine, Mary, and Janelle, 3 women who had walked through fire, found their voices, and stepped into their own light. I'd watch the hell out of a show with just the ex-wives living their best lives. Another viewer commented, "That's the energy now. We're done waiting for Cody to change. We want to see women who already have." It brings back memories of when Tamron Hall was hosting the tell-alls. She asked the hard questions, she didn't tiptoe around Cody's fragile ego, and suddenly she was gone. That wasn't lost on audience. People still talk about it, about how her direct style made Cody squirm, and how that might have been the real reason she didn't come back. That unspoken question still lingers. How much grip does Cody truly have over what makes it on broadcast? So now, even with a new presenter, fans are watching closely. And while Suki did push back in moments, many feel she held back in others. There's a growing chorus asking for a presenter who won't let the hard truth slide, who won't edit around the pain. Because the audience, we're not just here for messy family drama anymore. We're here for accountability, for transparency, for someone to ultimately say what. So many audience have been screaming for seasons. This isn't working. What's evident now is that the fans have outgrown the original narrative. the fantasy of togetherness. The idea that affection and belief alone could hold a polygamous family together, that dream has crumbled. And while Cody clings to the ruins, the audience has moved on. We're following the women, now the ones who found their strength and walked away from the wreckage. We don't want excuses. We want growth in family falling apart. It was the breakdown of a carefully protected fantasy. For years, Cody and Robyn tried to convince us this was about togetherness, affection, and shared belief, but now that image is shattered. What's left is something raw, something real, a man spiraling, a woman losing credibility, and a family ultimately finding the courage to stop pretending. So here's the question, and I truly want to know what you think. Do you believe Robyn genuinely forgot what she said on that camping trip, or was that just part of the act? Drop your thoughts in the comments because I'll be reading them. And I know we all need a space to process this chaos together. If you're into truth-telling, tea-spilling, and real growth stories, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and follow along here. I'll be here every step of the way. As this saga keeps unfolding, and with the way things ended, this season, awkward silences, shut off cameras, and grinning daughters. You just know something big is coming, a spin-off, a judgment. Please like and subscribe.